let's get into it. Sorry I've missed a day or two. Things have been pretty crazy, so haven't quite found my groove for getting some consistency for these. But okay, let's clear this really quick. Okay. So first trade I took today was right here, and basically, let's make sure that's there. We had this significant number up here on ES 4440. That's hard to say. So all this was pre-market, and respectively here was when the market opened. So you can see I had these two daily levels that I put up here during 8/16, and frankly, I don't even remember what they were from, or what they were significant, why they were significant. Goodness. But it's interesting that in the pre-market we had price action consolidate here, and so in the post, I guess, early pre-market over on this side, and then at the market open, we consolidated here. And so when we were failing to break above this area here, I started to look for a potential short entry. And so when we broke low and then had this retest, I put my entry right here. So that was actually pretty decent play. Let me move over here so we can see a little bit more. So as we came into here, I had a little bit of concern, and so I did make the mistake of panic selling. I think right about here, respectively. And so you get a little bit more out of it, but ultimately I'm still, it was still a good play. I just probably could have held it a little bit longer. And it's not so much to say I should have or I shouldn't have. It was more along the lines of, it would be fine if I cut it here, but I don't like the reason I cut it there. And the reason I cut it there was a little bit of panic. As it was coming into the 200, as it was coming into the 200, that was my target, and when this bottoming tail came in here, and then this bottoming tail came in here, I started to get concerned that we were going to get a reversal and not make it to the 200, so I just cut it. But that wasn't, I apologize if you guys can hear the cats. My office is also the cat room where the cats get to live. And they're not happy tonight. They're very rowdy. I don't know why. It's a beautiful night out. They should go play outside. Okay, moving on here. Not much later, 8:44. So here was I'm doing all this scrolling trying to find it right here. So this was not a great trade, and let's talk about why. So we didn't get the full profit here. So we cut here, and we got the reject off the 200. Now, taking the reject off the 200 at the bottom wouldn't have actually been a terrible play, and then you could have potentially had an add here, and then an add here, and then, cutting it here. The issue with this trade is I was in the right frame of mind. I just was missing details, and so I took this as a long entry right here. And so basically my thinking was, we rejected off of here, we came up, we put in a little bit of a higher high, sort of a higher low, put another higher high, and then a higher low, and so I was looking for a break of this higher low to go long, which I did. The issue here is that I wasn't thinking about the fact that this higher high here was actually an equal high to this downtrend. So in order for this to have been a valid long setup, now if I had just scalped this, it still wouldn't have been a great entry, but would have been at least a little bit more viable. I wasn't really sure what I was expecting. I wanted to potentially get back up here to the top of this consolidation, and I thought it was possible, but like I said, I missed a crucial detail, and that crucial detail was that this quote-unquote higher high, let me just quote-unquote myself here, quote-unquote was regrettably right at this pivot lower. So what was actually a lower low, anyway, the moral of the story is you have this consolidation over here where, or not, I guess it's kind of a consolidation. Price action stayed above this level, but there were buyers down here, right? So this area over here at 44.24 acted as support. And as we came down, it acted as resistance. And so it was a little bit ridiculous for me to think that this acting as support again, or excuse me, resistance again, would be violated by this potentially lower high. So how can I put this? For this to have actually been a decent trade, what we would have needed to see would have been, let's get rid of this, and let's also get rid of that. This would have needed to have come either up like this and retested here. This would have been a valid entry. Or, in the case of this, this area that I took here needed to be up here. So this higher high needed to actually be a higher high. So yes, we got the reject here, but this isn't really a significant higher high because it's at an area that was previously support and then acted as resistance for a short entry. And so the assumption should really be that if we get an equal, an equal high here, even with this lower high, there's more likely that we're going to get a rejection, which we did. And so what would have been smarter to do would have been to hold off on this, wait and see if this came up, look for a retest here, because this would have essentially invalidated a short play here. So if people were looking to go short here, right, this little pullback here, closing above this area, and then potentially going longer, the potential higher low right here would have invalidated a short entry underneath here. And that would have confirmed a trend reversal, at least a little bit. Obviously, this consolidation would still be an issue. This would be an issue here. But so that was the mistake I made here. It looked okay in the moment, but like I said, I was not thinking it through, that I was essentially taking a fake, not a real higher low. And so my thought process was, the reject here, and then we, kind of had an actual higher low here that consolidated, and then there was a failure to go lower. So I was looking at this as a potential, with the failure to go lower in mind, that this was a more serious reversal than it actually ended up being. So that was just not looking at the whole picture. So whatever. I didn't lost less than 1R on that. So let's move right along. So 10 a.m. Okay. And 10 a.m. this one was a little bit messy too. So obviously I had this level here, and when we came into it and didn't actually touch, I FOMO'd more than I'd like to admit, and actually took an entry here as we broke above this red bar. So my fill was about $1. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Yep. Just get rid of that. Sorry. Yeah, so it's in a lot of ways it's similar to the last trade up over in this area. first of all, this would have been a great short. And that's the other thing, taking like bad entries. Let's just talk about this one more time. Taking bad entries or missing something crucial, like what the chart is telling us, like, hey, here's a giant line that you drew a week ago. You know, let's pay attention to that line. So because I was looking, you know, for a long position here, ultimately, and I don't take a lot of key level bounces or rejections, but basically having this look like the trend was going to reverse, and then what's going on here? Oh, I don't know how I did that. What's going on here? There we go. It basically distracted me from what would have been a better entry, which would have been to short here or potentially take this or even this. Either one of those would have been respectable enough entries, because, you know, this is a little hiatus in the overall downtrend that we're seeing here. So I'm like eraser happy, just funny. So that's the other thing, is missing the greater context of what was going on in this pocket here caused me to be in the wrong frame of mind to potentially take a great rejection here. I don't know what that rejection would have been worth, but okay, back to the other play. So yeah, like we said, we kind of got in here, and it was a little bit of a FOMO because I missed. I mean, we didn't come all the way down here, so I didn't take a rejection here, but had good reason to believe that, you know, we were going to get a bit of a rejection. And then it kind of didn't happen, and so this is where it gets annoying. So I sort of like, I don't know, like panic bought for some reason here. I don't know why I have too many arrows. Don't need so many arrows. Get out of here. And honestly, if I was going to go long, this actually would have been probably a little bit of better entry. Not better in the sense of, you know, a better R value, but better in the sense of at least you've put in a little bit of a, there's a little bit more here that suggests the trend might be reversing, right? But you still have this 200 period moving average, which at the time was inclining. Well, I guess sort of starting to level off. So the 200 can be a point of support or resistance. Hold on, I need to move the charging cable to this machine. Okay. So overall, you know, this little area here wasn't a great place to try and go long if you didn't get it off the bottom. You know, possible secondary entry was okay right there, but the problem is I went, you know, I got in here, and then I kind of sweated it out, so my stop loss was pretty large, you know, larger than I would have liked it to be, and really it should have been even down here, but that's too wide for me. So sweated this out as it comes against me, and then it goes up. All right, cool, feeling all right. And then you obviously get this huge reject here, and that's kind of scary. Stop loss is more or less holding, and then it starts to come up. And here's where I kind of goofed. And let me just make this really clear. The fact that I stayed in this at all is luck, right? It was not really a good entry. This, like I said, a rejection at the bottom would have made this a little bit better than getting in up here. Because like I said, I was more or less FOMOing into this because I missed the actual entry at the bottom, and so I was, you know, going long here. And anyway, if I had had more conviction about this long, then this could have been a potential add, and this could have been a potential add, and then that would have made this area a little bit more lucrative and a little bit, I don't know, more intelligent. But since I didn't really have that much conviction about it because, sorry, I don't know what I'm looking at, because I'd missed this, so I was kind of fumbling around getting in up here. So when this pullback happened, I'm thinking I'm getting stopped out. You know, I'm thinking we're gonna test the low, and then, you know, feeling okay as we come up. But I thought about closing it here, and then I didn't. because sorry, this is horrible timing. Hold on. Can I pause this? I can't pause this because this is live. My dog is in the front yard, and does not need to be in the front yard. Um, So I'm going to mute out really quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. Real life happens when you're live, and I've chosen to just embrace that. Okay, so basically I didn't have a ton of conviction about this, and because my entry was a little bit wonky, it kind of set me up to be in the wrong frame of mind. You know, I didn't take anything. I didn't close it at the 200. So when we came down here, I was thinking like, okay, I'm getting stopped out. And here's where I kind of goofed more than more than anything. When I got lucky enough that we retested here and got a very nice response from buyers, when this topping tail came in right here, I cut because I was thinking we're not getting through the 200 and I don't want another push down. And this is just illogical thinking because my stop loss is down here. So essentially I wasn't okay with what I was risking to be in this trade in the first place. And the R multiple was not great for me. It was about, it might have been just about 2 to 1 if you made it up here. But, you know, as we're coming down, and this isn't, you know, this is a very sloppy sell-off. This isn't, there's no real trend involved here. So getting a little bit of a pop, you start to see, okay, well maybe the trend is reversing, but we just, you know, we couldn't get past VWAP here. And so when this happened, I just let the fear and the anxiety of sitting through this. And so that's the moral here is, if you don't really have conviction about something, it makes it very hard to think straight because you didn't really believe in it in the first place. So making it through, you know, all of this was luck in a lot of ways. And so I had just been experiencing some pain of sitting through this, so when that topping tail came in, I just said forget it, and I cut it. And also, you know, I was looking at, you know, this as resistance. You have this, you know, you had this prior support area here. Let's do this really quick. It's kind of a situation like that, you know, where we're underneath that line, and so we've tested it once, we've tested it twice. If we tested a third time, we might get a big flush, and we got a little bit of a flush here. I've actually got these arrows, but they're a little bit, you know, got a little bit of a flush here, and so I just cut it, and you know, of course, that's when it broke through. I don't like that arrow; it's an ugly arrow. You know, that's where it ended up breaking through and retesting VWAP, and then that actually would have been an okay situation on sort of a dumb luck trade. Hey guys, stop! Cats. It's literally beautiful outside. I don't know why they're inside. Okay, and last one. Only took 4. There's a 50% win rate today, which is good. Closed in the green. That's also good. My stop losses were both less than. Which is the other thing. Sorry, I forgot to mention. When I cut here, it was actually technically in profit by just a little bit. It was a little bit above break even. So after commissions, it ends up being a loss, but that's kind of the other goofy irony of sorts. Is and obviously it doesn't look like that on ES, but on the premium chart, all of this didn't really amount to much, and so the premium hadn't really moved up from my entry, over in this area, which is a completely different problem. But let's see, where are we at? Here, and this was a put. So I'm referencing this off ES because it just makes everybody's life easier to look at it off ES. I took SPY calls, but the ES is just a lot easier to talk through. Oh, that's right, over here. So I talked about this in my notes. So I had basically, I was kind of annoyed at myself for not making some money on my luck trade, and then it was back here. It's here. Yeah. Okay. And so I missed it. Again, I don't do super well with rejections, even if they are at key levels. But a third retest of VWAP at a pretty significant area of resistance here. That actually wasn't a bad play. And then you've got higher high, higher low, failure to go higher, a kind of aggressive reject, equal high. So there's a lot of reasons right here why you might have actually been thinking about a rejection. I was not thinking about a rejection. I was probably not really thinking about anything, which is also a separate issue. But so let's keep these present. So missed this entry. And remember, after we get this reject here, these subsequent pullbacks actually start becoming part of the larger downtrend. So on a higher time frame, this probably looked okay. So that would have been a potential entry because you've got a big sell-off, and the tricky thing is you are coming into low of day. So there's reasons why you wouldn't have taken that. This would have been a potential entry as well. But after all of that, I ended up taking this entry, and this one maybe had a little bit more intellect to it, which is not me tooting my own horn, but basically when I missed all of this up here, and of course in hindsight it all looks beautiful and you're like, I can't believe I didn't see that, or even that as potential ads or whatever. And there was pretty good strength on the way down. Obviously we had a little bit of a lull here, but right here, let's make that white. I know I've already got a line there. So as we came breaking through here, I was looking for a potential short entry if we retested. So a break of this area, which would have broken the low of the day, and it broke it. There was some good momentum on that, and we had this pullback, and so I got in about here, and basically closed it. I didn't get everything I could have out of this. And here's the issue I made. I didn't really know where I was going to get out, so this was purely an instinct play, in the sense of like taking profit. I knew my stop loss was probably going to be up here in this zone, if we immediately rip back. And these conditions have been weird to trade in because you're getting these like dips and then they get bought, and then you get these pullbacks and they get bought or sold into. It's kind of a confusing situation right now, but I liked this. I took it, and we came into down here. I don't have it up, but I guess I could bring it up in a second. This was an interesting kind of zone down here on SPX and to a lesser extent on ES. I know they're kind of the same, but it was more prominent on SPX. And so as SPX was coming into it, I was like, wait a minute, I don't like this to go shorter. And so I actually cut it as soon as this green bar came in. Oh, goodness gracious, cats. And so I lost a little bit of profit, but not nearly as much as I would have lost taking a stop because we never visited this low again until way later, and obviously you wouldn't try and hold it through all of that. So that ended up being the last trade I took. And I guess, honestly, my mental bandwidth just probably couldn't handle it because I also missed out on all of this. So, I did okay. I was up on the day after, a couple good trades, and my good trades were 2.28R and 2.78R, and my losers were both, well, one of them was technically like a little bit more than break even, but my other loser was negative 0.86R. So my losers were less than my winners, and so that's really what matters. Yeah, so that's basically it, and so my kind of goals, objectives for tomorrow. Let me. So I'm actually super tired. Something you're gonna hear me say a lot. There's my recap notes. Yeah, so panic sold more than I lost focus and didn't trust the setups after I had begun to waver in my focus. And so that's basically what I'm talking about over here is, after this move, I just kind of started to lose focus. I started to distrust what was going on because, oh, we went down, and are we going to keep going down? Is this a lower high? Lower high, lower low, whatever. You get the point. Are we going to reject and go lower, and then we go up, but we don't really go up that far, and then you just get this weird, like, every time we go up we get sold into, and every time we go down we get bought into. But the context that's important to remember is this kind of like when we're holding a number like this, kind of holding a zone like this, something's going to happen. And I had that intuition. I was actually, per usual, I left, right about here, stuck around for a little bit. Oh no, excuse me, I left, I think, when this was breaking down. I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore, which is kind of ironic. It happens very frequently. My session ends about noon Eastern, so I hopped out probably just before this ultimately broke. And then obviously you get a pretty nice shot to the upside. You get this rejection here, bounce here, but this would have been the entry for me right here. Just take it from here to here probably. Anyways, hindsight, I wasn't here, doesn't matter. But all that to say, I'd lost focus after this, and so I didn't capitalize on any of this up move. This was all chop, so that wasn't any good, but you could have made an argument for lower low, for possibly taking that short. So just once my focus was lost, it was lost, and that's something that I've got notes for myself to try and really stay focused and keep talking myself through. I kind of have to build up that brain power because it does take a lot. All my trades were in the first 2 hours of the day. Not really about the first hour, really. But look how much opportunity. It's 9:30. Look how much opportunity lived just in this. What is it? We'll call it $26 range. Granted, we didn't get back up there, but there's a lot of opportunity in there, and it takes a lot of brain power, and it takes a lot of concentration, and a lot of emotion to do this for any length of time. So as I'm doing this more and I'm reviewing my notes, I'm finding that I'm taking a lot of my trades right now in the current market conditions, in this first couple hours, hour and a half of market open. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just something that I need to keep in mind for myself, because there is opportunity later in the day, and so I probably need to get up and walk around, or get my heart pumping a little bit, and then come back and test my focus, because your focus and your emotions is a muscle that you have to build over time to do this. And I'm getting better. Let's see. Let's play another. I don't think I have a pattern that's not there. Well, you know, it's hard not to see it once you've seen it. It's here, everybody. It's everybody's favorite pattern. Look at that. There it is. It's the Sleeping Snoopy pattern. Just draw it here. I'm super good at drawing. I don't think his head's supposed to be like that, but the idea. Look at that. The Sleeping Snoopy pattern. It's there. Whether you want it to be or not. Alright, that's it for me. Appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to me get better over time, I guess. Alright, that's it for us, and everybody have a great day tomorrow.